So I'm here at Sac River Elderberry and Elderflower Farm with Sherry Hagenhoff, and Sherry has about 3 acres of elderberries here on the farm, and you are starting to harvest, and you've been very busy. So why don't you tell us about what you look for when you get ready to harvest?
Well, they don't all come ripe at the same time, so we're finding that every day we do a walkthrough to see what's ready or not. I'll show you this one. This actually is a very nice head, very fully ripened. There are very few red berries. Occasionally you'll have some unripe things, but that would be a perfect head for harvest today, so we'll make sure we get that guy in. So not all the berries, if you go in the background just a little bit, you can see there are green heads plus our cymes, and then there are some darker cymes. But if we look right here at this one, there's a lot that's fully ripened, and we would certainly pick this fully ripened. And then you're going to see that there's always just a few stubborn guys, these green ones in here, that don't want to ripen. Frankly, here we would go right ahead and pick this whole thing. Sometimes we'll see the whole thing. There's different branches here, so if you see how that splits off, sometimes we'll cut everything but that one in the middle, and we'll let it stay and ripen, so that we'll go back and just harvest a little tiny clump. And it might be 2 or 3 days, but these are good to pick today. They're great. And back behind it is a gorgeous big head, and this guy, same thing. Here we have a few more red, and so we kind of use a rule of thumb of, I tell my pickers, if we see close to 80% or more ripe, go right ahead and pick it. I wouldn't leave this on the bush just because of those few unripe ones. One of the reasons for that is, for instance, today it's only going to be in the upper 70s. There's a bug called the spotted wing Drosophila, and we would not want to allow the spotted wing Drosophila to get the whole rest of the harvest here for the sake of 10 berries that aren't ripe. So we generally try to make sure that we're getting most of the berries, not the SWD bug. Here's a great example right here. This one we would not harvest because we've got so much unripe. These are barely starting to ripen. So we would leave this guy just hanging for another day or two. And then when we're doing our processing, we make sure and we check for the SWD, the spotted wing Drosophila, and just put them in a little bit of salt water and see if those worms are coming up. You're going to see all different sizes. As a general rule, they'll start ripening lower, and as you go harvesting, the higher, later into the harvest, the higher the cymes that you're going to be picking. But that's not always true. There's always something. So what happens is, this plate is sitting over here on top, and he's just got a little hole, and then he can set a basket of unstemmed berries on that plate. And he's dropping the cymes down in here. The auger is sending them into the paddles. The paddles are flipping the bush, the heads. And as it's flipping the heads, the berries go flying down through this right here. So the berries go flying out the chute. He's got a couple different things. He'll catch the berries as they're coming out the chute, and then the stems are the paddles are also turned in a way that they're kicking stems out. So it's crazy. Here comes stems, and there goes berries. We use a 2-sink system. This sink is strictly for sanitizing. So I fill one bay with soap water, another bay with bleach water. Then we can just reach in with the rag, and I will come over to the sink where we process berries, and I use the soapy water, scrub everything down, and this is every day before we start anything. Then I can go back and I can get my bleach water and follow that after the soap, and then we hose the sinks down. Then we're ready to start washing berries over here. Generally, which I could go into the cooler and grab some, but I'm going to pretend we have this full of berries. once I dump the berries in the basket here and we start setting these baskets in the sink, of course it's going to be in a little bit of Clorox and water here, and then a rinse and a rinse. But this bucket, once I empty it of the destemmed berries, I'm going to be able to come right here and I've got soapy water ready to go. I scrub it with soapy water, I wash it down with bleach water, and then I hose it down and rinse it off. Have strict rules. This is for clean only, clean and sanitize. So once that bucket's cleaned and sanitized, it can sit here and dry, and then we'll be able to grab that, whether we're going to put cleaned berries in there or whether we're going to put, this guy would generally be sitting here, but whether we would be putting the clean berries in there or what we would be putting in there, we know it's clean. So this table is only clean, nothing else. I generally use this table, sanitize it, everything before we start, every time gets sanitized. And then in between batches of berries, we may do 2 batches or 3 batches of berries, and then we will totally wash and sanitize these bays once again, hose them down once again, and do 2 or 3 more batches of berries. So it kind of gets time intensive, but we just don't want to have any contamination. I use these when I'm bagging the berries, but this is my table that I dump out of clean berries out into a clean tub, and then we know those are clean and haul them off to storage where we keep our clean berries. We've got 17 tubs of destemmed berries in here. And then the clean berries, tubs of clean berries will be going into the basement, and where I have clean refrigerators for cleaned berries only and storing them up.